Welcome into Morning JOX, 6 a.m. here on your Wednesday morning. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell with you for the next hour, getting you set for McElroy and Kublik in the morning and another great day of college football talk here on JOX 94.5. And it is Wednesday, so you know what that means. We're asking, what do you want to see from your teams over the weekend? Of course, Alabama resting up this week and getting their second bye of the season, but Auburn heading back to Jordan-Hare to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores in a game that is a lot more interesting now than we ever thought that it would be coming into the year. Got a lot of other action going on around the SEC as well. So a lot to dive into today, Damian, but oh man, you're wearing Oklahoma today.
Yeah.
You must be
Feeling a little boomer sooner this morning. Don't know why.
Does that mean you're not going to show up?
No, man. We're just representing all the flavors of the SEC.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
No, I appreciate the parody. I was just,
I'm an equal opportunity hater, man. And they got Maine this week. So if anything, Oklahoma's on the they're on the up and up. They're gonna be feeling good this weekend.
You don't have them on upset watch?
Nah. I'll put it like this: there's not even a line on that game, so we'll just let them go how it is. And I think they have Oklahoma. This your get right game, like Alabama had theirs against Missouri last week. I think this one is you competed well against Ole Miss, but it's the Maine Black Bears in the middle. Well, technically it'll be November when they play it, but that kind of throws a wrench in everything that we play and we look for in scheduling purposes. But I do think that the games this weekend are a little bit interesting. That Auburn line continues to move in favor of Auburn. It opened up 5.5 now this morning. As of right now, it's Auburn a 7-point favorite at home over Vanderbilt, and kind of just reading the room of asking some Auburn fans there at Social Taco yesterday. They're very confident. It's very unique to see where they are after 1 week. After watching the performance that you saw against Kentucky, the Auburn fans a few of them are back. They are locked and loaded saying that, hey, we can win this thing out. We'll be going bowling. Okay. Just remember, you may have had almost 500 yards of total offense, but you only scored 24 points against Kentucky. I think it's going to take a little bit more than 24 to beat Vanderbilt because I think pound for pound, blow for blow, they could match you at any level on the offensive side of the ball. And what offense do we see from Auburn? That's the question. Is it, do you continue to do what you found success with and actually feeding Jarquez Hunter the ball? Or does Hugh Freeze go back to old habits and letting Peyton Thorne go out there and find one mistake too many?
Yeah, I'd imagine after last week, Jarquez made a pretty good case for him getting the ball a number of times on Saturday. I will say I'm kind of surprised, and I don't mean this as a shot towards anybody. It's just kind of, I feel like the mindset right now is a lot of people are just thinking Auburn's going to steamroll Vanderbilt, and they very well may do that, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of looking at Vanderbilt as, they had a good run, but their magic's over, and it's like, what? They just lost to Texas by 3. Like, is that bad now for Vanderbilt? It's just kind of odd. I feel like a lot of people are, I think they might be it for them. Like, I don't think, I think this is Vanderbilt. Like, I think you're getting this the rest of the season. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe, the wheels are about to fall off and, their magic is done and everyone's kind of figured them out. But I mean, I just watched this team play Texas within a field goal. So I feel like this is, I don't think they're just going to lie down. And plus, I mean, if you've watched them and just kind of, not even just watching how they play, but just kind of their attitude, how they carry themselves, they're not the kind of team that I think is just going to roll over and give up and say, well, we had a good run. All right, we'll take our 5 wins and head out the door. Nah, like they want more. I think they sense a bowl game. They sense,
Yes.
They probably want to get back in the top 25. They want to prove something. So I think it's going to be a great game. And I think it's going to be a big test for Auburn. I think it's going to be a big test for Vanderbilt as well. So it should be good to see this week, and we'll dive into more of that, get your take on what you want to see from Auburn throughout the show this morning. But I had some college football last night. Had 3 games going on last night. You had FIU taking down the former Diego Pavia's New Mexico State 34-13 there at Pitbull Stadium, Dale, down there in Miami. You had Louisiana taking down Texas State 23-17. And whew, I am sorry for anybody that watched this game.
Louisiana
You
Tech.
had La Tech and Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State wins 9-3.
Oh, yeah. The old Tuesday night special, baby.
Good Lord. And to make matters worse, I mean, you had 2 field goals in the first quarter and a field goal in the third quarter. That was it. That was absolutely it. So that was your college football action last night. You do have tonight Jacksonville State taking on Liberty.
Yes, sir.
Of course, Liberty getting upset by Kennesaw State last week. So we'll see if they're able to bounce back. But a big opportunity for Jacksonville State on the road tonight at 6 o'clock. And then you have Kennesaw State, that team that knocked off Liberty, taking on Western Kentucky tonight as well. So that's what you have going on tonight. But just let me have this for one day.
The floor is yours, brother. I was waiting.
It may not mean anything. Tonight might be awful, and it might all come crashing down. But for one night, I remembered how glorious it can be to root on your team in the World Series when they actually show up. And that's what the Yankees did last night. They survive for another day. They won 11-4 last night. This is crazy, and I'll be honest, I don't know how many times this has happened since then. But this is the first time since 1970 that a team has been up 3-0 in the World Series and not gotten the sweep. I thought that was wild.
Wow.
Yeah. So traditionally in the World Series, if you go 3 down, apparently you just kind of wave the white flag, and that's all that she wrote. So for the Yankees to get that win last night and at least force a Game 5, you got Garrett Cole going tonight now, so you feel,
okay.
Maybe you got a little something going on, get it to Game 6 back in Los Angeles. But no, I mean, last night was a lot of fun. It was a great baseball game. Freaking Freddie Freeman. God, just can't stand that guy right now. But he's been incredible. I mean, yeah, he hit another home run in the first inning yesterday. He has 4 home runs. He has 6 home runs in his last 6 World Series games going back to when
that's impressive.
He played in the World Series with the Braves. Yeah, that's remarkable. Maybe don't pitch to that guy today. We'll see how that goes. But no, it was a great game. I mean, you had the grand slam from Volpe there early on for the Yankees that really was kind of the spark for them and ultimately was really all they needed. But to get the insurance later on in the game and to be able to keep that momentum going, you got a big 3-run home run from Gleyber Torres late in the game that really kind of iced it there in the 8th inning. But it was a bullpen game. If you couldn't beat the Dodgers in a bullpen game at home in desperation mode, that would have been really bad. But yeah, I mean, for them to be able to pull that off with Soto going hitless, Aaron Judge finally got a hit late in that game in the 8th when it didn't really matter anymore. But no, it was good. It felt good to watch my team actually go out there and perform, and we'll see if they're able to do it again tonight. But a big win for the Yankees last night. And
yeah, and how about y'all's fans messing with Mookie there to start the game off on the first batter after the foul ball?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. I know this is the wrong thing to say. I love that. It's bad. I'm not saying that I approve of somebody doing that, but for me, for how bad the Yankees had been the first 3 games, and then to go, well, that dude wants it. Like, you're going like, man, all right, the fans want this more than the players do, it looks like. And I'm not saying that's what ignited the Yankees to start hitting the baseball, but it
got the blood blowing.
Every people on social media loved that. Like, it again, not saying it was right, not saying you should do that if you were at a baseball game, but it was funny. Like,
it was.
We can at least admit. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter. The guy was out. Like, it all went down how it should have. It was funny though. I've never seen that. Like, you saw, because there was somebody in the first or second game who you saw that kind of reached over and caught the foul ball or the fly ball, and it ended up being a double. And that's probably what would have happened anyway. But it was kind of like the Steve Bartman situation at the Cubs game and back in the early 2000s in the postseason where he reaches over and catches the fly. It was like that. But I've never seen somebody like he straight up grabbed the glove, tried to pull the ball out, and then somebody else grabbed Mookie's arm and was trying to pull him up. Like,
man,
it wasn't good. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be touching the players. But I mean, it was funny.
They wanted it.
Yeah.
It shows, like you said, it shows that they wanted
And
it.
I saw where I mean, obviously he got ejected for doing that,
Of
which
course.
is what should have happened. But you saw there were a bunch of Yankees people on social media that apparently he was a very popular fan outside of the stadium, and he went to, I guess, some bar like outside the stadium to watch the game, and people were asking him for autographs. He was taking pictures with all the Yankees fans. So I get it. It wasn't a good look. I'm supposed to say that was bad and shame on him and whatever, but it was funny.
Hey, you take a completely different approach, man. I appreciate your honesty, Conrad. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You want it and you want it bad.
yeah,
So you're telling me there's a chance that the Yankees can pull off the miracle,
probably not. But
but you never know.
all I'm gonna say is this: it would be appropriate that the team that had back in 2004, what happened with the Red Sox, to kind of
Rewrite the history.
reverse that and
Yep.
do that yourself in the World Series. It would be fitting. It would be a good documentary.
It'd be a Yankees thing.
It would be cool. But I'm not banking on that. But again, one game at a time. So
Hey, we'll take it. Now, instead of, getting the sweep, prepare for, a funeral, it's like, hey, we got one unders. You never know what could happen tonight.
hey, as Garrett Cole said last night, you had to win 4 games going into the series. So you're in the same situation you were to begin
I
with.
like that mindset.
It sounds nice. It's not really that practical because you had wiggle room and now you don't. But I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to be optimistic.
Absolutely. Game 5 tonight. First pitch at 7:08. They're on Fox for the World Series. The Yankees now only trail 3-1 to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But y'all know how we do it on Wednesdays. What do you want to see from your team on Saturday? 205-834-9450. Your text message, your calls on the way when we return here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. York, Mellow, Regis Apello. RIP Pop Smoke, man. Welcome back into Morning JOX. JOX 94.5, Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order, and of course, you are wonderful listeners as well. 205-834-9450. Good job, Conrad. I like that. I like that.
So is Aaron Judge.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. How good does it feel finally to watch him get a hit? I mean, it might have been, meaningless at that time, but maybe this could be.
I was about to say it's meaningless in the scope of the game, in terms of the final score. But no, I mean sometimes that's all you need, right? It's just like in basketball. Sometimes you just need to hit a free throw, see it go through the hoop, and
exactly
that's where you go from there. So yeah, if the Yankees are gonna come back, he's gonna have to be better. So.
Hey, Lewis texts in. He brings up a great point. So you can't come back from down 3-0 without being down 3-0 first.
Yep. That is accurate. That is an accurate statement.
Oh, man. We got some exciting matchups going on this weekend, especially here in the SEC. Ole Miss taking on Arkansas there at Fayetteville. That game at 11 o'clock in the Mountain on ESPN. Of course, Vanderbilt traveling to Jordan-Hare to take on Auburn at 11:45. The Florida-Georgia rivalry, the world's largest cocktail party. It's still a cocktail party to me. That's going on there in Jacksonville, 2:30 kickoff on ABC. Texas A&M traveling to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. Texas A&M only a 2.5-point favorite in that game. And, of course, we have Kentucky taking on Tennessee. So, on Wednesdays, we asked, what do you want to see from your team on Wednesday? And let's go to the phone lines. Let's talk to our buddy Melvin. Melvin, what's going on this morning, big dog?
Oh, man, feeling good, brother. Just glad to get a win under our belt, man.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we can gain some confidence, going to this last stretch, man, with some confidence. But I want to ask you and Conrad, man, how do we play that guy, man, Diego Pavia, man? Because we run most people describe our defense as a bend but don't break. And I just want to know, do y'all think our defense maybe match up well with that, not giving up the big play, making them settle for field goals and so forth? But I just want to know, I know what we need to do on offense. We need to be Jacquez heavy, and if they do, take our shots. But defensively, I just want to know, do you think we match up well with them or not? Appreciate the show, guys.
Hey, we appreciate you, Melvin. I think for Auburn, if you're going to try to contain Diego Pavia, make him beat you with his arm. Because I think that once he starts to roll out, he essentially becomes a two-way. He has a two-way go. He can run the ball, or he can continue to look down the field. But I think the more you can keep him in the pocket, I think the better off you're going to be. And I think for defense, and also Auburn's front seven has gotten better. They're continuously starting to get better. I think their defensive line, as long as you continue to disrupt them and kind of shift the line of scrimmage, you should be okay. But I think you got to let Eugene Asante and Keldrick Faulk loose. Just let them run, play backyard football, and just they might have to be the contain guys. They might have to be the quarterback spy guys.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say is just, you have to find a way to contain him because, I think we had somebody bring this up the other day, but essentially Pavia plays a very similar style of football to like a Johnny Manziel. Now, I don't think he's quite as he's good with his legs, but he's not quite as lethal or as fast, I don't think, as like a Johnny Manziel was with his legs at times, but what he's able to do in terms of getting outside of the pocket and letting things essentially get to the point where the play's broken down and you just have guys that are open, trying to come back to the ball and make a play. He is very, very good at that. And as we've seen, they love, they've taken shots at times, but for the most part, it's going to be that short and intermediate passing game. And it's going to be, a lot of guys running in motion. It's going to be a lot of, guys trying to slip underneath. And that's where they kill you. And that's where your thing is, if you're Auburn, I think that's kind of what you have to emphasize, and you have to find a way to stop that. And you go back to last year, this is a guy that you've seen in Jordan-Hare not that long ago. But the game last year against New Mexico State, Let's see. He was 19 of 28, 201 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then he had 8 carries for 35 yards rushing on the ground. So there, I mean, look, again, if you hold him to, 30 yards rushing, you probably feel like that's a win. But again, it's that short intermediate passing game where they can just dice you up, man.
Yeah. And I think for Vanderbilt, their offense is it's it's just a modern version of the triple option, but there's pass concepts that come with it. And I think what they do, and what I really like, you go back and watch the Alabama game, they were able to cause mismatches. And I think for Auburn's secondary is don't fall for the eye violations. Like you're gonna have to be disciplined. And the more plays that you can disrupt, as far as if you hit him on the mesh point when Diego's trying to hand off, either decide whether he's handing it off or keeping it. If you could just attack the mesh point and kind of disrupt their reads a little bit, that'll help. The secondary is just they're gonna have to play discipline. They're gonna have to trust their eyes, trust their technique. Because the more I kind of look at this game, I can see it going either way. I honestly think Vanderbilt is the better team going in, but I do think Auburn is starting to piece it together. At least, again, small sample size from what we saw against Kentucky, but that should almost continuously be your game plan. Is okay, if they're going to continue to give us the running lanes, let's expose them. Let's take advantage of these. Now, do I think Jarquez Hunter is going to run for 278? Maybe not. But I do think a heavy dose of 27 will be probably the best recipe. Make it easy for Peyton Thorne to make all the other throws that he needs to make.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I mean, this goes without saying, but I mean, if you go back to the Texas game, for example, you just can't shoot yourself in the foot against Vanderbilt, because that's where you go back to the Alabama game. You couldn't get stops on third down, and that absolutely killed you in that game with the time of possession. You go back to the Texas game last weekend. I mean, Texas had numerous penalties that kind of set themselves back, and I'm not saying, that's part of why the game was close. Like, Vanderbilt played a good game, but it was also Texas just kind of shot themselves in the foot in some opportunities. And so that's kind of the recipe, I feel like, if you're Auburn, because I do think right now Vanderbilt's played like a better team. I think Auburn has more talent on their roster. And I think if last week was them kind of turning the corner, then they very well could be better than this Vanderbilt team. It's just we need to see it consistently. But that's really where they're going to get you, is they are disciplined. They are going to be fundamentally sound, and they're going to chip away at you. And if you let them play their style of game, then it's probably going to be a long 60 minutes. And you just can't, the things that you did early in the season, you can't do. You cannot turn the ball over. Again, you can't take away opportunities to yourself and give them to Pavia. Can't get penalties. Can't set yourself back. Got to be fundamental. And I know that goes without saying, but that's been hard for people when they play Vanderbilt this year.
It has been. And I think for Vanderbilt too, what they do is they'll chew the clock. They'll limit your possession. So if you give them an extra possession, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to chase those points all game long. So the biggest thing for Auburn, come out on a fast start too. I think the past couple games, even going back to, Kentucky and Missouri, you're starting off a little bit slower than you need to. And I don't think that's a good recipe. I think that if anything, don't come out of the gate throwing the ball. How about you establish something in the run game? Even if it's just a straight dive, a straight give, but don't come out of the gates and have a 3 and out because you threw the ball 3 straight times. I do think that Keandre Lambert-Smith is probably going to have one of his better games, because I think Vanderbilt's secondary is gettable. That's probably their weakest group so far, because I do think teams are able to throw on them a little bit. But I do think they cause enough disruption in the front seven to, all right, if Peyton, as long as he doesn't overthink it and just doesn't react and just get it out, I think he'll just be smart, be patient, be smart. And when those opportunities present themselves, you got to hit them. You got to hit those home runs. And I think that's kind of the recipe for Auburn to have success against this Vanderbilt unit. 205-834-9450. We'll continue on the phone lines. Let's go to our buddy Lee in Cincinnati. What's going on, Lee?
Not much, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call. I just have to say I've got to recant something that I said earlier this season. I said I was hoping that Florida would lose for Lane, but I've kind of rethought that, because apparently the buyout for Napier is $27 million, and Lane Kiffin's wanting $14 million a year. So now I'm just hoping Florida's going to win for William, for Billy Napier. So that way they keep him, and if they do that, then they've got the coach for a good long while. So I'm going to totally change my tune, and I'm pulling for Napier now.
Hey, how are you feeling about this game against Georgia Saturday?
Well, realistically, I think Florida has a chance because Georgia's shown some chinks in the armor. I'll be honest with you. They're not as strong as I think. Carson Beck is having some problems lately, and Florida's defense has always been pretty good, but Florida's defense isn't as stout as it has been in the past. I think Florida's going to give them a good run for the money, but unfortunately, even though I'm a Gator fan, I don't think it's going to be an upset. I think Georgia is going to win. Hoping it won't be by double digits, but it's a good possibility. I just don't think it'll be a blowout, though, but I think Georgia is going to win.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I'm feeling. We appreciate you as always, Lee. And, I mean, Florida, I wouldn't be surprised if it's still a ball game going into the fourth quarter, but I think Georgia pulls away. Well, Florida's talented enough. Now, DJ Lagway, this ain't going to be Kentucky across the other side for you, big dog.
See, he makes this game really interesting to me because I could see him doing if he can do the things we've seen him do at times and make some of the throws that he's made consistently. I mean, his ceiling is pretty high, and so you look and you go, all right, this is the kind of guy like he can win you some football games. But then you also can look at it as, well, he's a freshman going up against Georgia, and it could get really, really ugly, and you're just kind of stuck at that point.
Yeah.
So this one's tricky. I want to believe that Florida's gonna not, pull off an upset or anything, but
anything could happen.
Give him a good fight. So while he brought up Florida, I want to ask you about this. So we had David Waters on, who does a Florida Gators podcast on 3 Man Front yesterday, and we were talking to him about Billy Napier and kind of the, I guess, names to watch if he is still on the chopping block there in Gainesville. And, we talked about Lane Kiffin for a second, and I think that name has maybe lost a little bit of its luster than it had at the beginning of the season for obvious reasons. But another name that was brought up that I hadn't even thought about, but when you think about it and then you find out the money situation, you're like, oh, that could be very doable. What would you think about Marcus Freeman at Florida? Because his buyout at Notre Dame is only $4 million.
Oh.
Yes, it's very reasonable.
I wouldn't be mad about it. But
I just thought that was interesting. I was like, I never really thought about that one.
I hadn't either. And I don't think it would be a bad hire. I think Marcus Freeman is one of the better head coaches in college football right now. It's just, if he doesn't have the immediate success, does Florida continue through this cycle of, oh, well, he's not winning quick enough, so do we go ahead and pull that plug a little bit earlier? Like, is Florida just going to give a coach time? That's probably my biggest thing. But if you have Marcus Freeman, one, he's shown that, hey, he can win. He can win some big games. He's the only reason Texas A&M has a loss on their record right now. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I also think that a guy that I would, because he's catching heat right now, Kurt Cignetti. That would be a name.
Yeah, the only problem, because we talked about him as well, is, again, it's just the financial situation for Florida, because I think his buyout is $17 million or something like.
Oh, wow.
So then, between that and
having to
paying out Napier, you're looking at about $45 million. And, if maybe they can raise that, maybe, I don't know, but it's just tough because and I mean, I'm not going to say I feel bad for the coaches because, they're getting paid millions of dollars to sit at home. I don't really feel bad for the athletic directors because, they made the decision to hire them in a lot of cases.
Right.
But, some of this stuff just isn't quite sustainable, man. If you keep giving these huge contracts and these buyouts and you're having to fire and pay multiple coaches at a time, and it can be tough, even for places like Florida.
I didn't realize Marcus Freeman's buyout was that low, though.
I did not either.
It just kind of strikes me as odd because you think if at Notre Dame, it'd probably be a pretty penny to get him out of there. But for
Yeah, and maybe that was something that he negotiated or something, to where
I just think that's extremely low.
I don't know. Maybe that was part of their, you want to be the head coach. Well, we want to make sure we can get out of this pretty easily if things go south. I don't know. But I thought that was an interesting name. And these kind of things are going to circulate. But also, if they end up making the playoff at Notre Dame, like, is he going to leave and go to Florida? I don't know.
Right.
But also, you would think that hypothetically, if something like that were to happen, that Mr. Lee would probably be leaving Nashville and
Yeah.
maybe getting a call to go back to
Yeah.
Mama.
This time without BK. Like, yeah, you go out there and have a good time. Some things go full circle.
It'd
Then
be
at least,
interesting.
and then that part it actually kind of puts Vanderbilt in a unique spot. It just, like you said, hypothetically speaking, that Vanderbilt job looks a lot different than, what it has been. And if Clark Lee can find success after, a couple years and actually giving the school, giving the coach some time, you kind of realize, okay, it's not immediate success. It's not a microwave success. It's, okay, we're building this thing up. We're building it up. And boom, you have situations like this.
They just need to hire Pavia after the season to be a quarterback coach or an offensive analyst or something like that.
They'll probably just promote Jerry Kill to head coach. I wouldn't be opposed to
You
it.
can do worse.
Yeah. I mean, he's taking New Mexico State, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we've seen him. He's been able to dig some teams out of some very tough situations. I'll put it like that, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an interesting thought. 205-834-9450. We'll continue with your text messages, your calls, as well as what you want to see from your team this weekend. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. 6:37 here on Morning JOX. JOX 94.5, Damian Mitchell, alongside Conrad Van Order. If you're feeling a very New York feel, it's because your boy Conrad finally got a World Series win as the Yankees knocked off the Dodgers 11-4 to now only be down 3-1.
We're so back.
Yeah, absolutely. All you need is one. And kind of to what Garrett Cole said, it was going to take you 4 games to win anyway, to win the series. So why not make them 4 straight? You never know. Crazier things have happened. Now, is it likely? Maybe not, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. They got one. And they'll hopefully try to get another one tonight as Game 5 of the World Series. They're from New York. Yankee Stadium. First pitch at 7:08. But we got some action over the weekend. Of course, we know the big-time matchup. Again, 2 unranked teams, but it feels like a bigger game than what it is. Vanderbilt and Auburn. Auburn looking to try to make it a 2-game winning streak. Vanderbilt looks to, try to right their wrongs from Texas last week, taking, a top 5 team there to the wire, only losing by 3 points. But now you're not in the confines of your own home stadium. Now you got to hit the road. You got to do it in Jordan-Hare. They tell us that Jordan-Hare is a tough place to play, tough place to win. Oklahoma said other things. Arkansas said otherwise, and also Cal this season said otherwise. If you go back to last season, even New Mexico State, whose quarterback is now at Vanderbilt, and now Diego Pavia is taking his talents back to Jordan-Hare. He's 2-0 against Hugh Freeze.
He is. I just like to think that there's Auburn fans that, what maybe they don't listen to JOX or they, whatever. They just, they're not maybe keeping up with it throughout the week. They're just, I'm going to watch Auburn on Saturday. And how many Auburn fans turn on the game this Saturday and go, wait a second, I remember that guy. And they started to piece it together, and how many people don't realize that the New Mexico State quarterback is now the Vanderbilt quarterback and you're having to play him again. But, it's like, heck, Hugh Freeze even said it on Monday when he was asked about it. He's like, man, I hope I never see this guy again. He's like, I don't want to play him ever again. Like, yeah, that's how I feel about USF.
It's just like, can we just get them off the schedule moving forward? I don't want to see this.
Just pay them off. Nope, we're not gonna do it.
But no, I think this game will be interesting. I think it's gonna be a physical ball game, and it comes down to which team doesn't make the crucial mistake. Because we have seen at times, if you go back to last week, Diego Pavia had a questionable throw there at the end. Kind of set the team up for. They did only hold Texas to a field goal, but you kind of wish that they probably would have punted the ball in that situation just to play the game, play the field position battle right there. But also, we know what Peyton Thorne does. We've seen it. He will serve you up one. At some point, it's just gonna have to click. At some point, it's gonna have to click, and why not now? Because your team is kind of hoping on, kind of just going on a wing and a prayer at this point, to find yourself in a bowl game or bowl contention, but you got to get some pretty big wins. And the rest of the schedule, if you don't get this one, it's going to look difficult on the way out. Like, I understand Louisiana Monroe, you should be able to get them, but you still got Texas A&M, and then you got to hit the road for the Iron Bowl to take on Alabama. So
need to get that momentum going for those last 2 games, because
you need it.
Again, as we've seen, anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday.
Yep.
But you want to have that confidence and be on a little bit of a roll. So let's keep handing the ball off to 27. Why don't we do that?
Seems like the recipe for success. Let's go with it. Just going to the JOX text line. Of course, you can text or call in 205-834-9450. Going back to our conversation about Marcus Freeman, and potentially if the Florida job were to open up, would he be a name to look out for? Your buddy John Mack, he was going back talking about Notre Dame. He said we would kick the Catholics around if we played them this weekend. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. And I was like, hey, I messaged him back. It's like, big dog, let's not go down this Hugh Freeze route. The last time we saw Texas A&M and Notre Dame on the football field, Notre Dame was the winner. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I know without a shadow of a doubt, 100% certainty, that the last time we saw Texas A&M and Notre Dame play, Notre Dame was victorious.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's exactly how I feel. You had a chance, you didn't win, but would you probably win? It's the same thing. Would Alabama probably beat Vanderbilt if they played again? Probably a pretty good shot of it, but they didn't. and you don't get that opportunity again. So it is
Exactly.
what it is. But yeah, I mean, I would rather play Notre Dame than Texas A&M right
Oh,
now. I
by
think
far.
that's a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Drake texted in. This is going to be a sticky one. He says, "What about James Franklin to Florida?"
Yeah, that was also a name that got brought up yesterday.
I'm gonna say hell no. Like no, no, absolutely not. And I understand he's had success everywhere he's gone, but if you, I don't think you're gonna have the patience that you have with Billy Napier that you're gonna have with James Franklin. You're gonna expect him to win as soon as he gets down there, and he's gonna find a way to blow it at some point.
Yeah, I just wonder. Yeah, I don't know. Because again, I think James Franklin is a good I think he's a very good coach. I don't think he's an elite head coach. And I think
Right.
if you're Florida, that's what you're probably looking for. And maybe you'd rather, maybe that's where it's, because I don't know what his buyout is, but I'm going to imagine it's a little bit pricey as well. And I just imagine if you go that route, would you not rather go with a guy like a Signetti or somebody that, well, okay, maybe they don't have as much of a track record at the power level. All they've done is won everywhere that they've gone, and there's
Mm-hmm.
just a culture that they bring with them that is just a little different. So I don't know. I feel like that could maybe be more interesting after this weekend as well, just based on how things go for Penn State. Because again, I mean, if you're finally able to get over the hump, you're able to beat Ohio State, you're pretty much guaranteed a spot in the playoff at that point. Maybe that changes how things are viewed at Penn State. Whereas if you, let's say, they lose by 17 to Ohio State this weekend, are you James Franklin? You're just kind of like, all right, cool. I mean, we can probably still make the playoff, but like, I literally cannot get over the hump against these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I stick around? So that'd be an interesting one. He's did pretty well at Vanderbilt as well.
Yeah, he did. He did. Congratulations.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but Clark Lee is doing it even better.
Ah,
He's doing it even better this year.
Vanderbilt, he won 9 games one year, did he not?
Yeah,
At Vanderbilt.
I know, but they didn't. They ain't beat Alabama.
No, but
They ain't beat Alabama.
yeah, that's fair.
Hey, number 1 team in the nation. I ain't never heard James Franklin say that when he was at Vanderbilt. But no, he did have like tremendous success. when he
Yeah,
was
it's
there.
very, very impressive.
Yeah, it was indeed. Ryan texted in. He says Auburn and Vandy comes to 2 things: 1, stop Diego on 3rd downs; 2, give 27 the rock. And he has Auburn winning 27-24 over Vanderbilt.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it's going to be a very good. I think it's just going to be a good football game.
Exactly.
And I feel like you haven't been able to say that a lot about Auburn going into games. I think this is just going to be a good football game because you're always, oh man, they're going to throw an interception. They're going to, do this, do that. No, I think this is just going to be a good, hard fought, knockout, drag out football game.
Absolutely. We'll get your message. We'll get to your text message, your calls on the other side. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5.
You noticing a theme this morning?
I sense it. I kind of hope New York continues on this train, man. Like, get all the New York hits we can these next couple days. Shout out to the New York Yankees. Welcome back into Morning JOX. JOX 94.5. Our resident Yankees fan feeling good, man. You got one team, got one game, baby. You got one. You're down 3-0, staring a sweep right there in your face. But the Yankees said, not tonight. To the tune of 11-4 over the LA Dodgers, making an interesting game 5 tonight.
I can't wait to just be so sad tomorrow morning.
It happens.
Yeah.
But you got Garrett Cole, man.
I was about to say, at least until, well, unless things get ugly early, at least until about 10 o'clock tonight, I can feel hope.
And that's all you need.
That's right.
That's all you need.
That's right.
And I think that, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the Yankees. Just one game at a time, baby. One game.
That's right. One down, 3 to go, baby.
That's it. That's it. We'll continue on the JOX text line and phone line, 205-834-9450. Drake texts and he says, my concern about the Indiana coach is his age and being able to recruit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably similar. And to be fair, I mean, he doesn't have, or he hasn't spent as much time as the power levels like DeBoer, but
right.
Same thing. Again, it's a guy coming from, ironically, Indiana, like Kalen DeBoer did in the past. And I understand that part of it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, let's see. He's 63 years old. I can understand where you might want somebody that's younger than that, but
Google.
I was about to say, the guy wins.
Yes. If you can find a way to make James Madison, again, James Madison jumped from FCS to FBS and didn't skip a beat. It wasn't one of those things, it took a little bit of time. They jumped into it. It was like, hey, we're a pretty good football team. Yeah, I mean, if somebody tells you, hey, you can have a top tier head coach, but he's only going to be around for 8 years. Okay. Right.
Cool. Let's enjoy these next 8 years.
Yeah. That I do agree with. I think Kirk Cignetti, like he said, just Google. The one thing he knows how to do is win, and win at a high level. Luke from Highlands texts in. He says, if Auburn beats Vandy, I can hear the Auburn fans now talking about Vandy beat Alabama and we beat Vandy.
Yeah,
so we're better than
property,
Bama.
Yeah.
He said maybe the highlight of the season for them. Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
But then we'll see that matchup later on in the year, and then we'll be able to determine.
Yeah, we will.
We'll see that head to head.
We will.
Well, let's go to the phone lines. Let's talk to our buddy Don before we wrap up here on Morning JOX. What's happening this morning, Don?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey man, no complaining today, my brother.
I hear you, brother. Hey, Damon, enjoyed being with you yesterday, and I believe Wisconsin kind of likes you a little bit.
Yeah, we're big Vols fans.
I hear you, buddy. Hyper to Cypher, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, but yeah, Damon, you brought up a good point. Hugh Freeze said this the other day. We got to get off to a good start. We can't get off to a bad start and fall behind. We got to get the crowd involved in it and get off to a great start.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, but how? Okay, Damon and Conrad both. If you had to put over under on how many touches Jarquez Hunter has to get to win this game, what would you put the over under at?
27.
Well, I wonder why you said that, because that's what he had last week, right?
Yeah, I would have said 22, 23, something like that.
Well, I want to put it at 25, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And everything.
And you better hit the over.
Hey, for us to win, it has to be the over, Damien. It really does, in my opinion. But I think y'all made up a good point. Conrad, didn't y'all throw the ball pretty well against them?
Yeah, I mean, offensively speaking, Alabama really didn't have that many, I mean, outside of the issues they've kind of had in every game this year. Yeah, I mean, they were able to move the ball. Like, Milroe played well. It was just, I mean, Vanderbilt had the ball for over 42 minutes. That was the killer.
That's what I was going to say. Y'all did everything. Y'all, every time y'all had the ball, y'all scored just about it, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, it was not a bad. I mean, they put up 35. It was just couldn't get off the field on third down. Yeah,
absolutely. But I don't want to throw the ball too much against them and everything. But you're right. And I don't know if y'all know this or not. In watching Vanderbilt games, I believe Jerry Kill, the old New Mexico State coach, is calling their plays, I believe. And
I'm not sure who's calling them, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he has an impact on it for sure.
That's the scary part about this game. That guy just has Hugh Freeze's number. I mean, he beat him beat him
Yep.
when he was at Liberty. I mean, that's the thing I'm worried about, Damien. But I mean, I cannot. I'm kind of shot this line is 7. I mean, I would think it'd be about a 2 or 3 point game. That line kind of scares me a little bit.
Hey, I mean, you're an Auburn fan. You should be confident. You should be confident in this
Well,
team.
you know, I mean, hey, I know me and you've been talking all year long, and we found a way to lose a game and everything, and hopefully with that getting that win, just might. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
do you think Auburn wins Saturday?
I do, and I'm gonna.
That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know.
I was about to say,
Forget
we'll
about
get his prediction on Friday because the score would change probably 3 times between now and then.
Right.
That's okay.
Absolutely. But hey, our fans are confident, man. All you had to do was see that one win against Kentucky, and now you're like, no, it's not basketball season yet. It's funny how it changes that fast. That's all you had to see. But we'll see on Saturday, man. Diego Pavia and those Commodores, they coming on in at Jordan Hare again. They're coming in there. He's 2-0 against Hugh Freeze. We're going to see what happens. We got so much more to talk about this entire week. Let's keep it locked right here on JOX 94.5 because McElroy and Kublik in the